Hey, buddy, how are you?
Hey, all good, thanks. How you
Yeah,
doing?
yeah, not too bad, thank you. Just busy day. I was like saying to you just a minute ago. Thank God, I've got the app, the Crisp app, which allows me to sit in any coffee shop, even around crying babies. So, I'm glad that you
Nice.
can't hear anything in the background. But yeah,
Yeah,
let's get into it straight away. The autonomy pod is kind of getting recognized for like just
mm,
having loads of guests on who have been through autonomy. So it's no
sure.
different here. So how long have you been with autonomy? What were your goals when coming in?
Yeah, sure. So I've been with Autonomy for about, I think, 9 to 10 months now. So I started last November, I think it was 2020. Actually found out about you through a referral from my cousin. So obviously spoke very highly of you, and I thought I need to check this guy out. And then 10 months later, I'm still with you, right?
Yeah,
Which, yeah, I'm really happy about. It's going really well. So I mean, in terms of where I started at, I'd been going to the gym for quite a long time, maybe 10 plus years, and probably not really getting that far, just doing the same stuff over and over. So I think I just needed some kind of push in the right direction. I was probably a bit lost, to be honest. And obviously, hearing about the work that you've done and kind of the support and the feedback you provide, which like gave me that incentive to want to know more and push myself to go further down the journey.
I think that's super important. I think that because of Nickel, like he painted the way, right? Because like he did exactly what you wanted to do, and we just basically had to just see that journey again and then repeat
Yeah,
what he did.
yeah,
And
exactly. I
that's
mean,
always a nice thing to see, isn't it? Before
yeah,
what you've done.
exactly. I mean, I'd seen kind of proof that it works, kind of thing, if you want. So I got evidence that yeah, okay, that this guy's kind of um, getting the results that I would like to see as well. Obviously, it's up to you at the end of the day, and you've got to push yourself, right, and make it happen. But I knew that I had that kind of drive and motivation. I wanted to do it. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, exactly.
Perfect. So they talk about what was our first phase? What did we do initially when we first started working together?
So we initially, I think it was more about just getting me used to tracking things, getting used to going to the gym consistently, steps, water, all of this stuff that I wasn't doing as I guess I should have been doing. And I thought I was doing well, but obviously there were aspects of it that I wasn't maintaining on a daily basis. So I think it was those fundamentals, putting them in place. And then I think we went into pretty much a kind of putting on weight phase for the next, I don't know, what was it, 6 7 months, which
The good phase, the good stuff.
yeah, well, at the time, it didn't feel like that all the time, I guess. Just because yeah, for me, it was probably a bigger struggle to have that number of calories consistently every day, especially when sometimes you're so full and you just like, no, I can't have any more oats, I can't have any more salmon.
Yeah. So we'll talk about the strategies that we had to do later down the line when we looked at trying to get those calories in, whether it was the weekend stuff or the extra stuff. But we'll speak
Yeah.
about those in a bit. Like after you got all those little bits in place, the water, the tracking stuff, how did that make you feel compared to how you were before?
So yeah, definitely made me feel good. I felt like I was moving in the right direction where I wanted to go. I was seeing obviously the scale go up in the right direction, which is also where I wanted it to go. And I was seeing, yeah, changes in kind of the way that my clothes fit, for example, and my body shape. So obviously I've been quite slim build, and it's always been a difficult thing for me to put on weight, which some people find quite weird because everyone's got the opposite problem. But unfortunately, we've got this fast metabolism which I can't seem to shift. So it's just making sure I was able to put on the right amount of weight consistently throughout the months that we were working together through that phase. But yeah, no, I was feeling good. It was difficult at times. Obviously, there were challenges, but I think it was just maintaining kind of where my goals were and where I wanted to go.
Yeah, and not to mention we had to go through the lockdown period as well. Like when we started, we
Mm.
were like doing workouts at home, and then Then
Yeah.
you were back at with everyone then back open to the gym, and then it was back closed again, and all of this like fudgeting and faring around, makes it difficult to build up that head of steam that someone that's trying to build muscle it really wants to. You want the week on week progression, and if one week you're in band workouts at home, and then next minute you're doing the dumbbell bench press in a gym, even though you had both of those, but like you aren't able to build up that head of steam, and therefore for most people that would lead them off course. But you did a really good job of kind of staying through the weather, in terms of like staying the course really, which was really, really good. When you spoke about struggling to get those calories in, and like it was a chore to get them in, what type of strategies do you now use to get those calories packed in?
So I think the key thing for me was finding calorie dense food. So things like salmon, paneer are kind of my staples. And I know that I don't always need to log now because I know what I need to be having, and I've gone through that phase of having to log every day. So kind of know if I keep to that structure, I know what calories I'm getting in. So there are certain foods, for example, avocados, Greek yogurt, dark chocolate, which I make sure are part of my kind of daily intake. So yeah, I think it was kind of a struggle at the start because it was like finding the right types of foods that I can have that will give me the amount of calories that I need to be getting on a daily basis, right?
Yeah, because like when you do start like a process like this, regardless of what phase you're in, whether you're in like a fat loss phase or you're muscle building, because you're starting this health journey, a lot of people start like picking healthier foods, and like that normally leads to like more vegetables, more fruits, more like oats and things that people perceive as like this healthier option. And that normally they're quite like low density, high volume types of food, which are ideal for fat loss. They're ideal for like keeping you full. But when you're already full and you're trying to get the food in, it's not the most appropriate style of food. So getting in that like dark chocolate, the cereal gains, the weekend foods that you got, that's where the damage is. Well, the good damage for you is done because the extra calories are going in there.
Yeah, the packets and packets of Rice Krispies squares, and obviously, yeah, over the weekends I was allowed to have other types of food, right, that I was not having during Monday to Fridays, for example. So that was definitely good as well, having that difference in the variety of food I was having and helping me bulk up on those calories.
Yeah, because I think most people, unless you've got an insane appetite, will be okay on a normal amount of calories on a week to week basis, and once they regulate to that, they'll probably need a little bit extra at the weekends or want a little bit extra because you're doing stuff. You're going out, you're a young lad trying to get on the scene, trying to get out after COVID. You want to kind of go out for dinners, you want to go and spend time with family, for friends. You don't want to be limited in your food choices when you go to those places. Whereas during the week, you're more routine. It's a Monday. It's nothing's going on exciting on a Monday apart from work and the gym. You can afford
this video for a very, very important announcement. I want to invite you all to our Facebook group. We have a 6 Phases to Forever Facebook group, which is a part of our coaching process that is free, that you can get lots and lots of value on a week-to-week basis. I go live once a week. There's plenty of content in there, and there's always special bonus material if you're looking at getting in shape, or how to stay in shape forever. So if you are wanting that, the link will be here somewhere, and then also it'll be in the description. So guys, see you there, and you get to see my ugly mug on a week-to-week basis.
To be a lot more structured with your food intake, which then leads you more freedom at the weekends to go, well, where are we going? That sounds good to me. You don't have to stress and worry, and you just enjoy yourself there.
Yeah, exactly. So that definitely helped from a social aspect. Obviously, lockdown kind of helped as well because I was more restricted, right? But then when lockdown was lifted and I was able to go out with the socials and stuff like this, weekends were a good opportunity to be able to get those extra calories in, for example, either from 1 or 2 drinks or from meals. Obviously, Monday to Friday, I was trying to adhere as much as possible so that I was able to do that on the weekends as well.
That's an interesting point. That's like there's the point that nobody wants to hear about, the bit where like, because you're having extra at the weekend, you kind of have to be good during the week, or you have to have like an allowance of the week. A lot of people want their cake and eat it all of the time. So like,
I think it's discipline, right? Like, well, is it what do you call it, the 80-20 rule? So
yeah, the 80-20 rule,
Monday
like
to
that,
Fridays.
yeah, it's literally, it's like it's a perfect and the scenario for it. It's like 80% of the week, Monday to Friday, you can do your best to stay within your calorie range, whatever that is. And at the weekends, then that's when you can increase your flexibility, but stay within reason. Like a lot of people can out eat their poor diet. That's totally normal. But then you have to stay in check on what really is that you're having enjoyment. If you're just having one meal and the rest of it's normal, you won't find yourself too hard pressed if you have one main and a dessert. Like nothing's ever going to go wrong with that. Now, if you go pigging out and then go and sit at home with your Ben and Jerry's and then your Doritos on top of those meals, then you're probably not doing it right. But for the
failure there.
Yeah, you're not going to go do too well. And nothing really, no story ever ended in fat loss when you started with Ben and Jerry's and share a pack of Doritos. I don't think. So like obviously one of the major components of building muscle tissue is the nutrition is really quite important, but the biggest important factor is always your training, right? So like talk to us about that training journey of where you started and where you're at now.
So for me, as I said, I was going to the gym for about 10 years, but I was probably doing the same exercises during those 10 years, only because I thought they were the ones that would get me bigger or get me to my goal. Obviously, it didn't work for me. So it was more, and I think the main reason was I didn't know about tempo, I didn't know about rest times, I didn't know about progressive overload, which is all things that I've learned over the last 10 months with you. So those are the key aspects now that will help me to build the muscle going forwards as well. And I've really learned now that obviously how key they are in the whole process. And obviously the consistency of going to the gym. So managing and getting yourself there 3 to 4 times at least is so important.
Yeah, to be honest, even some of the trainers that I coach right now still don't value those tempo, those rest periods, and those progressive overload periods, like because they're like people feel like they're like unnecessary. Just need to go to the gym and do something. But when we know that and this might be a small science lesson, the reason why muscles grow bigger is because you ask more of them. So you're asking more demand of them, so that they go, okay, shit, I need to get bigger to be able to cope with that demand. It's like if you wanted to build a bridge and it was made out of string, if you made it and someone walked over it and it had like 5, let's say, example 5 strings, and someone fell through the middle, you'd be like, okay, let me add 5 strings, let me add 10 strings, let me add 15, and then you build it until the person could walk across the bridge. And it's the same with some muscle growth. It's like the body is so wonderful that it will cope with your demands, and it will change itself to cope with your demands too. So if you go from lifting the 20 kilo, doing 20 kilo squats, to doing 40 kilo squats and 60 kilo squats and 80 kilo squats over the course of 6 months, your muscles will get bigger, because it's like, holy shit, I've got to deal with that 20, 40, 60, 80, and all of that new extra muscle, that new extra strength that you've gained from somewhere. So it's a wonderful being, and that progressive overload is like the biggest thing out of all of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to admit, some of the feedback you were giving me during my check-ins were obviously to increase, and I was like, what is this guy on? Like, I've already gone this high. And for me, that was definitely a challenge. Like, how on earth am I going to put another 10 kg on that bar and lift it, or whatever it was? And I managed to do it, obviously, over a period of time. But at the time, I was just like, this guy's nuts.
Yeah, to be honest, it's often left with some level of resistance, and probably the way I say it as well, just add 10, which is never really
like, oh, piece of cake, right?
There's no empathy at all. Just come on, add 10. But actually, one of the biggest points, and this is probably worth talking about as well, is with adding new weight on, it does trigger that what if I can't do it, or what if I can't fail, what if I fail, or what if I can't do it anymore. And I think that's an incredibly great trait to overcome over time. Not only does it play out into training, but like, what if I fail at my business, or what does it fail if I do this wrong at work? But if you can teach yourself that you can cope with the demands, even when you don't think you can, it's such a powerful tool. But as you said, like, you've eased yourself through it, and you've now gone from not lifting as much as you are, but now lifting way more than you were, right? And you're way more comfortable in those positions. It just takes time and effort.
Yeah, and now I know that I can go further, and every week that's my goal, right? That I push more, do more reps, and that's ingrained into this whole process for me.
Yeah, no, 100%. So, like, what for you now to going forwards? What is the biggest fact? What are you aiming towards? What like targets do you have towards some of your lifts, so the
Yeah,
listeners can
so
hear?
sure. So as in what the specific targets are.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
think
So
it's
people can.
around so for the RDL, so Romanian deadlifts, to get to about 100 kg, I
Yeah,
think over the next couple of months. Yeah, slowly getting there, which at the moment 100 does sound daunting, but um yeah, I think obviously if I focus on it, I'll get there.
yeah. Triple figures. Once you're
um
into the triple figures, you'll never want to go back to double. I'll
oh
tell you
yeah.
that.
Yeah, I think that it's more of a palaver getting the weights on the actual weight than lifting it sometimes.
Yeah,
um yeah, and then I think there's some other goals I've got. So I think it's incline presses, dumbbell presses, about, yeah, get up to about 20s on those.
yeah. No,
Some, yeah, good targets to aim towards in the next couple of months.
yeah. How do those targets like do when setting targets? Does that make you feel more motivated and more driven towards something?
Yeah, definitely, because then I know, look, I'm here right now. That's where I need to be in a few months, and can I get there? And obviously, if I do get there, for me that'll be a massive achievement, right? Because I've gone from going kind of at a lower weight of lift to a much higher one than I didn't ever think that I was probably even going to be doing.
Yeah, yeah.
So
No, that's
yeah,
really interesting.
definitely.
100%. How do you so your body's changed. Like obviously you recently did a photo shoot as well. So
Mm.
we did a building phase for 6 to 7 months, and then we were like you were going on holiday,
Yeah.
and finally getting away out of this out of London. And it was like, well, why don't we use this as as a thing to kind of push towards so that we can pull off the body fat? Because
Mm.
for other people listening, like when you do muscle building phases, you do accumulate some body fat just because you are in a calorie surplus, and depending on how much in a calorie surplus that you eat, will depend on how much body fat you accumulate. So if you can, like and that's what Jenna was saying before about a slow rate of progress over that muscle building phase, because we didn't want to accumulate too much fat. We wanted to accumulate a small amount and do that over a long period of time. So when we got to that point, we thought, let's just trim it off for for the holiday. So we did a diet for just a short space of time, and you came in. I think we pulled off 10 kilos.
Yeah,
Nearly off
about
10
nine,
kilos.
9 and a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and how was that experience for you? Just a quick touch on that photo shoot day. How was that?
Mm.
How was that experience?
Yeah, so I mean, before you even told me about the photo shoot, I didn't expect to do one because it wasn't going to be my main milestone, right? So it was kind of a bit, do I really want to do it? But then I just thought, why not do it? Like, I've got nothing to lose. It's a good point to just reference as a kind of checkpoint for me anyway. So going into it, yeah, I felt kind of looking forward to it and definitely up for it. When I got there, I think it was quite daunting actually, just being in that kind of environment because I've never had to be in that situation, I guess. So once I got into it though, yeah, really good fun, really good load of people there, really motivating. Obviously seeing you as well, that was the first time we met. So that was definitely positive. And then seeing the actual outcome was really impressive for me because I didn't actually think I would look like that, to be honest.
Yeah,
So yeah, I was actually really happy with the results at that point. And yeah, now I have those photos, right, that I can reference back to and yeah, check them out when I'm feeling like, oh.
yeah. And use them as like that bottom position. So like, a lot of people say, oh well, how do I know if I'm growing muscle tissue, or when will I know? And to be honest, having those pictures now gives you that baseline point of like, okay, this is what 6 months of work got you
Yeah,
well, about 10 years plus 6 months. Majority is 6 months.
yeah,
Of how much you can accumulate. The next time you do that, and next time there is a holiday, because everyone goes on holiday at least once a year or once every 18 months or something, you do another one of those, but you don't go too aggressive. You just do exactly what you did last time. And then you compare the pictures. That's how you compare how much muscle tissue you've got, where you've got the muscle, where is it gained.
hmm,
Otherwise, you're just guessing because, you know,
yeah, true.
how t-shirts fit not doesn't always like give you the example. As much as we like t-shirts that fit well and stuff like that, just seeing you before, after, in or like 1 year in terms of pictures is absolutely a cracking way to do so. Um,
Yeah,
But like, yeah, I was going to say like, bless you, like, you came on a day in which a lot of other coaches were getting their photo shoots done. So like Jen was around like people that have been in like a coaching game for like 10 years, 5 years, trained for 15 years, 20 years of their lives. And some of the guys came in absolute like shredded. Like, and him was there a couple of weeks out from a photo from a competition. And like normally that takes a lot out of people, that they feel unconfident of being in their own bodies. But like you were happily mincing it up and mixing it up with the other guys there as well. So like it just proves like once you get into the flow of things like that, like it's quite be uplifting and quite enriching.
Yeah, it was actually, I felt, yeah, definitely at start, it's like, gosh, these guys are big and everyone's pretty ripped. But I think once I got into it, they're obviously very motivating as well, a really good bunch of people. And I just felt, yeah, really comfortable and got on with it, to be honest.
Yeah, no, that was really good. And then we're on the final leg of the journey. Well, final leg of the journey from the story of the podcast. So what did we move into after the fat loss phase?
Yeah, so we went into more of a kind of consolidate and maintain phase, because I think it was actually then I was on holiday as well, so it made sense that kind of I increase calories up a bit, but still maintain kind of the levels of activity and amount of intake, which I cope well with, especially being away. I was able then to indulge a bit, but have fun at the same time, and yeah. So I think that was kind of the key phase then for a couple of weeks or a couple of months maybe. And then
probably about 6 to 8 weeks, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And now we're back into going on the bulk.
On the big bulk. For people that will be listening to this, they'll be going on holiday soon, or potentially, hopefully. I mean, a load of people are blooming coming to Dubai, so I've got loads of people booked in to come and see me.
Nice.
Just like clients that are over here for the bank holiday weekend. What advice would you give them from the lessons that you learnt when you were in Madrid?
Yeah, sure. So I think the key thing is get your protein, veg, and like carbs in, right? In terms of any staple meal you'll have. I think that the good thing for me was I was actually in an apartment, so I was able to do some meal prep, get my oats in the morning. At least that was kind of, I knew that was setting me up for the day, and had to buy my protein powder out there. And those are kind of the staples that I knew, if I've got these, at least then I can, go for the drinks and go for the tapas or go for the other meals, and desserts even, and kind of at least I've got some balance in terms of getting a daily intake of certain amount of calories. But then the other stuff I don't need to be too strict around. And even from tracking perspective, I didn't necessarily go on MyFitnessPal and track every meal there, because I knew, okay, I'm on holiday, I don't have to I've been tracking for the last whatever number of months, so I'm allowed this kind of time to just chill.
Yeah. And if you're keeping it basic, like you said, well, basic is for me is basic, and for you is basic, is protein, carbs, and veg at each meal. So that's a chicken breast, that's a piece of salmon, that's a beef fillet, whatever that is, that's some tofu or paneer or whatever it is at each of those meals, and you keep that consistent: a breakfast, a normal breakfast, a normal lunch, and then you go out for the evening. That's again that 80-20 rule. It's like 3/4 of your day is nails, and it's perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you can go and enjoy that evening, where it gets a little bit sticky when people like stay at all inclusives, or they treat every meal like that holiday meal, which that becomes dangerous when people are like, where are we going for breakfast? And you're like, pancake place, and you're, oh, where are you going for lunch? Oh, burger place. Oh, where are you going in the evening? Tapas. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I don't know how that's going to work.
Exactly. Your daily calories are just going to explode, right? And then if you're doing that consistently, you're kind of headed for trouble.
yeah, literally. Yeah, we find it very difficult to be able to balance it across the months and the weeks, even a couple of days that you're there. Like I normally say for people that go on holiday, is that if you're going away for 7 days, you should be thinking like either one meal a day is going to be your freedom meal, and then the rest of them is staple, or you look at having 3 days or 4 days out of the 7 great, as in terms of like dietary, and then you have 3 days where you're not so strict on the foods, and that'll kind of balance it out. But there has to be some balance somewhere.
Yeah, definitely. I think yeah, when people do go on holiday, obviously there's that indulgence factor, and you're kind of, fuck it, I'm on holiday. But
Yeah.
I think if you've still got that goal that you're working towards, there's no reason you can't use some of those rules that you've put in place, right?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's just one of those scenarios in which, and I'm looking at a lot of this in my like own study and research on the side, is that we are based on that conditioning, right? So if we've done 16, 18 years with our family members, friends, gone on holiday and just ate what we wanted, did what we want, it becomes abnormal to do anything but that. And then it's really hard for you to not hit that fuck it button, or that I'm just going to do whatever, because you've done it for 18 years and that's a hard trend to get out of. And you may feel like you're not getting your money worth out of the holiday if you don't go and indulge.
Of course, as well, if it's an all-inclusive, definitely, right?
Yeah, you got to get your money's worth. Well, it depends on what you want for your money's worth.
Yeah, but then even so, I'm sure there are options, right, in that all-inclusive that you might want to, you probably didn't go to before, but you could go to.
Yeah, that's this is preaching to the choir, but I think a lot of people would definitely be like, why don't I try every single one of the desserts? Or maybe we should try one of the mains of every single one. And then, do what mum does on holiday, which is like every single time she goes to an all-inclusive, she'll have soup for starters, then she'll have a main, then she'll have literally she'll go through the stations, and she doesn't eat for the rest of the day, but like she'll just have that and be like, well, it's a bit of luxury because she's not used to the starters, the mains, and desserts, so she'll have that and then just be like, she's done for the day after that.
Just sit on the lounger then.
Yeah, literally.
Pina colada.
Yeah, back to 50 after that. So I mean, that's a really interesting bag of things to consider, and quite a lot of different varied of stuff. Obviously, like the whole journey, you've done a diet, you've done a muscle building phase, you're on another muscle building phase. Out of all of those, which has been the hardest, and what's the biggest lesson that you've learned from autonomy? I'll leave that as the last question.
Yeah. Gosh, they're pretty tough questions. So what's been the hardest thing? I think it's a shift in my mindset to kind of just have that consistent target every day, because I used to kind of come in and out of doing things. So now I've got probably a lot more discipline. So like from the nutrition perspective, I would probably said fuck it a lot more in the past, but now I'm a bit more kind of, no, I should do this because I want to get here. So that's been hard because it's changing. Yeah, the way, as you're saying, you've been conditioned for so long. And I think also, similar to like family occasions, for example, going out, you're obviously used to having certain types of food and certain meals, but it's kind of either taking your own food or even seeing other options where you don't have to go for what everyone else is having. So what was the second question?
And then that was the hardest thing, and then just basically, what's the biggest lesson that you learned?
Biggest lesson. Yeah, I think it's just the combination of progressive overload, tempo, rest periods in the gym, and how key they are to kind of pushing yourself to want and do more in the gym. Because as I was saying, a lot of the time I was just doing the same stuff every day, and I didn't really do much like tempo wise or rest wise. Made it up as I went along.
So. Yeah, but you're in a good place now, so thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it, and I'll chat to you soon anyway.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you for all your help as well and your feedback, and yeah, definitely it's been really beneficial for me to be part of Autonomy. So
I appreciate that, brother.
To you and the team, and all the education that's available is really good.
Amazing. Thank you.